I'm delighted to introduce our next speaker, Helen Bullen. One L in Helen, two L's in Bullen. I met Helen at a networking event, and you know I like mentioning networking events, so I really do encourage you all to just get out there and do it. Anyway, I knew straight away that Helen was a radiator. She was bubbly, warm, and radiated energy. From an initial chat, I felt really positive about our connection. I went away and did my usual stalking, LinkedIn, website, etc. I even bought a book. Yep, and I read it. I really just like the simplicity of Helen, how Helen explains and lays things out. I think she's quite straightforward in her talking and doesn't beat around the bush. So that's probably why it made sense to me and appealed to me. It made it feel achievable and doable. So here we are. Welcome, Helen, with one L.
Thank you. What a great welcome. Yeah, I am straight talking. I'm also going to own up before we start. I talk fast and I wave my arms. So if you see things flying, that is how I am. And I'm going to talk to the people today and everybody watching about being you. So I don't apologise for that. That is just how I am. So shall I carry on through my PowerPoint and we'll go through?
Yes,
I
please,
promise
take it away.
it will not be death by PowerPoint. Let's just go. So a little bit about me to start with. So I am a retired osteopath. So I come from a therapy background and I had an award-winning clinic. And you can see the clinic. That is my beautiful clinic that I used to have. And I retired in 2020. My husband had got early retirement. I was going to go another 3 years. And I was actually like, lockdown, time for me to go after about 20 years. You'll see a picture of me at the top. So there is me in a clinic coat. So you can see officially I was. And at the bottom, yes, I'm signing my book. You may notice, though, that there are some different pictures bottom right. And in 2021, I fought breast cancer and won. Whoop, whoop. So another thing, string to my bow, I always think that made me tougher. So that's why you may see pictures of me sometimes on my media with long hair, with bald, with short hair, with it bright blonde. So just bear with me. It is the same person. I'm also now a business mentor. I've done that for about 7 years. People ask me how I'd done so well in my clinic business. And it became a natural thing. I'm also a lecturer. I've lectured osteopaths. I've been an external examiner in Italy, in Russia, in Belgium. I have been experts for universities in the UK. So it's sort of a natural thing to be teaching, but I love business. So I just became a business mentor. And then when I retired from being an osteopath, I've really gone into it full time. Now that's a bit of a lie because I don't work full time. I work when I want to work with who I want to work with, but I sort of built a business that I loved. So I tried to keep that short. If anybody does want to ask me questions, I will put some links at the end. So if you want to know more about me, you can go and read. But you don't want to know that. You want to know about this word here. So this is the word that will either make you smile or make you recoil slightly. And I remember when I graduated as an osteopath, I loved what I did and I knew what I wanted to do. And I assumed that you just went out and you did it. And somehow marketing happened. I also thought I didn't really like marketing, so I wasn't ever going to really do that bit. But you suddenly realize that you have to do something to get your clients through the door. And quite often, what happens let me tell you a story. When I first started mentoring people, I was teaching all the nuts and bolts of how to build your business. So your website, your social media. And in my day, when I started, there wasn't social media. I'm very good at it now, but there wasn't in my day. Someone was like, come on, you can use it. So I talked to people about sort of marketing methods, but what I found was there was a bit of a problem and I couldn't understand why people then didn't take action. And I found out there was more to it than that. When I found out, I was very lucky. I was on a retreat in Thailand. I'm going to show you the picture. Literally that beach on the left is where I was. And this is what I wrote in the sand, and I'll explain a bit about that. But I had a business mentor and I said to him, I'm really frustrated. I'm mentoring all these people. They're not managing to take the action. And if you're watching, you may feel that too, that you know all the things you need to do. And let's face it, we could all Google it, look on YouTube and find out that somehow there's a patch in the middle that we know what we should be doing or we think we do, but we don't quite do it. So I said to him, I don't know. And he said, well, you're not teaching them everything you do. And took me a while. I went down to the beach. Literally, it was tough that day. I went down to the beach and I wrote out all the things that I did. And I eventually realized that what I do is I commit to things. If I decide to do something, I commit to it. So then I had to work out what I do to make commitment happen, because it's all very well, isn't it, saying, go on, commit to it, you can do it. That's okay. It's a bit like the Nike slogan, just do it, isn't it? It's a great slogan, but it's never just that easy, is it? You know, if you run a marathon, you have to go and do the training. It's not just a case of just do it. And so I realized that I had to teach people to do things that I naturally did. And what I'm going to share with you is those 6 sort of I call them principles, but they're not magic. They're not secret. There'll be things you know about, but perhaps you haven't realized you need them all to run your business, not just what you think you need for marketing. So I came up with this, that you can commit to anything, and if you want to achieve it, you can. So I always bang on about this. You'll see this in my book. You'll see this anywhere you go with me. I truly believe you can achieve anything when you learn to commit. Now, there's always one person when I'm speaking that says, but you can be a brain surgeon. No, I probably couldn't. I don't want to be. So that's not a problem. I couldn't probably go to the moon. I don't want to do that either. But if I had done when I was younger, I would have worked towards doing it. But we're talking about the things you want in life and business. And I think before I go rattling down the world of this is just about business, it's really not. If you can get a great life and a great business, it's fantastic. If one of those is out of kilter, it doesn't feel good. So what are those principles? So I came up with this commit to achieve pathway. Now it's a little bit constructed, isn't it? You know, but it's simple things: taking care of yourself, knowing why you're doing what you're doing, releasing all those limiting beliefs. And believe me, this is the biggest one that I get to work with people on. We all have them. Understanding how. Now that's the nuts and bolts of building a business. That's the bit I was teaching. And then the last one is taking effective action, actually doing the work, sitting your butt down and getting things done. Because that's how, as a business owner, you get results. No matter how you think you want to run your business, you have to do things, or be at the point that you can outsource other people to do it. So let's go through them. Now, I have to say I put this picture because that's where I'm going back to. I had steroids and chemo, so I've put on some weight, but I got to look like that. And I will sing my own praise. I look pretty fit there because I committed for my 50th birthday that I was going to look the best I had ever looked. And all I did was I just went, right, I'm going to do it. And I trained and I ate well. And I used the same principles that I use now. But care of self isn't just about going in the gym. I'm not talking about that at all. So first of all, you need to think of yourself as the engine of your business. You are driving your business, especially, I think most of the people I'll be talking to today, most of you work for yourself, or you may work with a few other people, but you are driving your business. You haven't got a marketing team. You don't have somebody who's takes all your emails and deals with them. You may have some of this, but you don't have all of it. You don't have somebody that's doing your social media every day, and most people are doing it on their own. So to drive a business, and even if it is a huge business, you need to be at your best, okay? You are a vital asset. And I think this is the thing that a lot of us forget. We try to be everything for everybody else. We try to be everything for our business. We try to work all the hours we can, and we forget about number one. And I probably learned this most on my chemo journey, but I did learn it before as well. That I know I'm the most important person in my life, and I have children, I have family, but if I can show up as my best, they all get a good deal out of it. If I'm grumpy, miserable, working late, everybody gets a bad time. So you have to sort of change it. And I always get people say to me, but you don't understand, my mum's elderly or whatever. Oh, I have all that. I've done that, done the divorce, I've done the chemotherapy now, I can add that on. I've got 3 children, including a stepdaughter. I've been there, done it, but I always know if I do simple things for my well-being, everybody benefits, and so will your business. So start to really like yourself. I think we can be really mean to ourselves, and it's a new book that I'm writing, but I have been writing a lot about, and I hate to admit this, Erin, I talk to myself in the mirror. And when I was going through my chemo, I obviously ended up bald. I ended up heavier because of steroid weight. Not everybody loses weight when they have chemo. I just ballooned. And I look in the mirror, and the only thing I could recognize was my smile. So I used to smile in the mirror, whether I thought it or not. And I used to tell myself I was strong, I was brave, I could do this. And I walk around talking to myself, if I'm honest, especially when nobody's in. I'm like, oh, great chance to talk to myself. But I cheer myself on. And although that may seem weird, the other side of it is most of us tell ourselves that we're stupid, we're dumb, we can't do something, we'll never be good enough. And we are with ourselves from the day we're born to the day we die. We're the only person that we stay with. And if we're saying mean things to ourselves that we wouldn't even say to a friend, It's not good for your self-esteem. So try it. Speaking to the mirror. The only thing you get out of today is go and have a chat with the mirror. Just check nobody's watching the first couple of times. So the simple things I get to people taking care of self, as I said, it's not about the gym, it's move more. You know, I'm a retired osteopath and lots of people watching today will be therapists, but how often do we give therapy advice and we don't do it? So move more, 10 minutes a day, just get out the door. And I would say if you can, go and see a sunset, see a sunrise, walk in the country, walk in a town, whatever does it for you, kick a ball around, take the kids with you, go out in the rain. There's no excuses, it's just the wrong clothes. Get your coat on your wellies, jump in puddles. I've had people on courses of mine hugging trees and I didn't think they would do it and they did. And they thought that was the best bit. They were like, I hugged a tree, it was hysterical. So sometimes you have to get out there, move. And I say to people, just put your shoes at the door in the morning so you know you're going out, and your waterproof coat, there's no excuses. Time yourself for 10 minutes, walk out for 10 minutes. If you hate it, you walk straight back. That's 20 minutes of exercise done. Now, most times you don't walk back because you enjoy it. The other thing is eat well. And I'm not talking again about a diet. I'm saying if it doesn't look like the food it's supposed to, it's probably not good to eat it all the time. So if it's a potato and it looks like a potato, great. If it looks like a crisp, it's maybe not the thing you should be having every day, or at least, 3 or 4 packets. So eat well. We all know how to eat well. And some of you might even be nutritionists on here. Sometimes we have to do what we, keep it simple, but do what we preach to other people. Hydrate, we all know that. We're made up of water. And I know as therapists, you'll all appreciate that. And I love that you've got the world behind you because it's mostly water, isn't it? So that's a good reminder. Hydrate, there's nothing wrong with having glasses of wine. I was going to say energy drinks, but there's a lot wrong with those. But occasionally is okay. It's just if you're doing it all the time. Positive mindset. Now, this is probably where I win over and I drive people mad. Now, it's not to say I cannot be grumpy, horrible, miserable, but I tend to only let myself do it for about 10 minutes. I told you I like 10 minutes. And this saying on the right, I'm sorry if it upsets anybody, but this is my saying. It's very simple. Negativity feels shit. Sorry about my swearing. It won't sort anything out. Don't do it. Now, although that's simple, what I'm trying to say to you is have a little moment. There are things we have in life that are terrible that happen to us. And our business, we have curveballs, life, whatever. But give yourself a certain time to do that, falling apart, whatever. I can do snot and slobber, howl on the floor. And then I go, okay, this is not going to make anything better. It's making me feel worse. So get myself up, dust myself off slightly. And it may be, if somebody's passed away, that's very hard to do. But for me, when I've had close friends pass away, I thought, well, I could be miserable, or in the honor of them, I could go forward and live my life because they haven't been lucky enough to get as old as I've got. So you just have to try and change your mindset. And if you start to think, right, well, I can have a meltdown, even if you give yourself a day, a week, whatever it is, then say, but it's not helping. And especially in business, I think when you get curveballs thrown at you, the key thing to do is not let that curveball hit you and knock you over. It may knock you over, but you pick it back up and you throw it back, even if it hurts to throw it back, and you keep going. Because we all have things that go wrong in a business. In life, in business, it happens. I have never met a successful business owner that hasn't said to me, oh, when I did this once, this went wrong. So if things happen, just think that's a normal part of it. What do I do to learn from it? How do I correct it? The last one I've got on care of self, and this is probably I should have put at the top, is taking time off. I speak to so many therapists who have diaries that are open every hour of the week. So the client can very choose. So they'll do a Sunday afternoon at 3, and then they'll see somebody else on a Monday at 4. And their world is just work. For me, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a minute, is you need to book your time off first. Your time off is important and it's sacred, and you take that time off. Now, if somebody really wants to encroach into your time as a therapist, you charge them more. Okay, there is a premium, but you have to set that in. So I tried to make that short version, Erin, but it went into a long version. But you know what I'm like. Move more, eat well, hydrate, positive mindset, and take time off. They're the key things you can do for you, your life, and your business. The next one is knowing your why. So this is really important to push you in your business. And you need to make your why strong enough. It may be like me. When I started, I had 2 children. I was newly divorced. I never have ever had any child maintenance. I had nothing coming out of a house. In fact, I think I had about £3,000 on a credit card debt. And I was in a flat. I had a bucket of water for the fridge. Somebody had gave me a little oven, and my kids, I'm always ashamed to say this, but obviously I've got myself up, they were on air beds for about 6 weeks. I mean, as a mother, not good. I didn't like that, but it gave me a why. And that why was strong: to put food on the table, to pay the rent, to put a roof over their head. I promised them that I was never going to change where they lived. They weren't going to change schools. I live in Surrey. It's expensive in Surrey in the UK. I wasn't going to move. My daughter was still going to have her dancing lessons. My son was still going to do his football. They were swimming, all those things. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but it was a strong enough why. My why's changed now. My kids are grown up and they've bought their own houses. My why is more about having experiences, traveling, seeing the world, working when I want to, with who I want to, how I want to. But so your why can change, but you need to have a strong why. So have a think today, maybe jot it down, put it on a post-it note. What's driving you forward? And it doesn't have to be a story. It could be that you just love what you do and you like helping people, or you're inspired, or you have a story behind why you started your therapy. A lot of therapists start therapy because they have a story behind it. Then I want you to think, what do you want in your business? Okay, so what do you want? Just jot it down. Then think, what do I have now? So you'll probably have what I want now, and there'll be a gap in the middle. Okay, this is where you can set your goals and targets. This is where you start to aim for what you want. And there's one word I have missed on this slide, which I can't believe I have. And that is, you can set goals and targets, but you have to action it. Okay. And some people I know don't like to call them goals and targets. Think of it as a roadmap. Where are you going? You don't have to call it goals and targets, call it a different name, but have an idea. Otherwise, what you've got will stay what you've got, or even decline. What you've got and what you want, you can move towards it. Even if you think that gap is the biggest cavern you've ever had, you can do it. If you've heard my story, I'm now sitting in a 4-bedroom house with 4 double bedrooms, a new car outside, a camper van on the drive. I have holidays. I went to the Seychelles last year. All right, that's different from the girl who was in a flat she was renting, the mum with kids on airbeds. So you can get there. You need to commit to it. And you've heard me say that word. I'm going to say it many times. So update. The last thing I'll say is update your why on a regular basis, because it will change. So like me, I had a real motivator, my kids, my drive. I had to make money. How was I going to do it? And then as it changes, maybe you don't feel so inspired in your business. Maybe right now you don't. Create another why. Maybe it's a monetary why. Maybe you want to get to X amount figure in your income, or maybe you want to have a holiday home by the sea. That is one of mine. Sorry, that came out. That is one of mine. But what is it? It's your why to push you. Maybe you want to retire in 2 years. Maybe you want to only work 2 days a week, not 6. That can be a why, and it will push you forward. The next one is releasing those limiting beliefs. Okay, now you may think, oh, I can run a business, I don't have to worry about that. But these will stop your success in the tracks, okay? They absolutely stop you. And if you thought you just needed marketing methods, you've probably realized that that isn't the problem, all right? The problem is you need to be confident enough to put them forward. So how are you going to get over them? Well, let's first go through a few that you might recognize. I love this picture. I'm sorry, but I think that's what we all do, isn't it? We go, I can't do it. And we stick our heads in a bucket. And that would be okay if you weren't trying to run a business, but it's a bit like the negativity thing. Only do the bucket, your head in a bucket for a few minutes. It's not healthy for you. Get your head out of the bucket. But it's a cute, fluffy ostrich or emu, I'm not sure. Anyway, you can make your own decision. But we all have a bit of imposter syndrome. It can rear its head at any time. I think we've all felt that. Fear of failure is very, very common. Even fear of success. Some people fear making it. And sometimes that's not a bad fear. If you've got maybe a product business and your fear of going too fast and not be able to meet orders is a real fear, but it's something you need to recognize. And the other one is worry what others think of us. You know, or if I do a Facebook Live, what's so-and-so going to think about me? Or if I, you know, we were at a networking meeting, weren't we, yesterday? Was it yesterday?
Yes.
It's gone so quickly. And there was probably, once people started saying they were nervous of speaking, everybody owned up they were nervous of speaking. But that's because we worry what other people think. And there was one lady that spoke and she was beautifully dressed. She helps people design their wardrobe and what they're going to wear. She didn't even need to speak for me. She looked fantastic. And I wanted to just say to her, don't worry. You know, we often worry what people think because we make up what they think. We have no idea what other people think. oh, they're going to say this, they're going to say that. 9 times out of 10, we get it wrong. So it's none of your business what other people think, because you are mostly getting it wrong. So try and think of that. So how do you get rid of them? Number one, I'm not going to say you're going to get rid of, release your limiting beliefs and get rid of them. You accept you have them. And then what you do is you try and work around them. And the first thing I'd ask yourself, if you're calling yourself, let's use the example that you're saying, I'm an imposter. If you say I'm an imposter, ask yourself, is it true? So if I said to myself, Helen, are you a good business mentor who's got experience in bricks and mortar and online businesses and been doing it for about 25 years? And I was feeling a bit wobbly about doing this, maybe, which I wasn't. Sorry, I like to talk. But if I was, I said, no, of course that's not true that you're an imposter. I'm not an imposter, right? I do it. If I said, yes, Erin, I'll come on and I'll talk about, I don't know, dentistry. I may be able to talk a bit about the nerves around the jaw, but honestly, do not come and see me as a dentist. I am a true imposter. And sometimes just by asking yourself that question, it's enough to turn it around for yourself, because we get in this whole, it's a bit like the negativity. We get this whole sort of limiting belief circle where we keep going around. I can't do it. Everybody else can do it. I can't. Look in the mirror and smile and love yourself for a second, and then ask yourself, is what I'm telling myself true? If you're berating yourself, I know a lot of women do it. I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, blah, blah, blah. Look in the mirror and ask yourself if that's true. It is not, all right? And I always say to people when they say, oh, I couldn't do a Facebook Live because I don't like what I look like or what I sound like. I always say to them, right, when you see your clients, does anybody ever ask you to put a paper bag on your head because they really can't bear what you look like? And everybody goes, oh, no, they don't. Do people jump in hedges as you walk down the high street because they really can't bear what you look like? Oh, no. Do people put headphones on when you speak because they can't bear your voice? No. So 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, we are doing it to ourselves. We're telling ourselves a mistruth, just like we try and mind read other people. We tell ourselves nasty things. And I'd say, go back to that mirror and be your best friend. So the easy way to do it as well is stop looking at things that trigger you. We have social media right now, and some of you may love it, some of you may hate it. Normally people hate it because they're losing themselves on it personally, as in scrolling too long, or they are looking at things that trigger them. So somebody they don't like or somebody else that is a competitor. Do me a favor right now, go in and don't follow those people anymore. If you look at those things, your feed will imagine you like those things. So start looking at people that inspire you. If you've got somebody that inspires you, follow them. I do expect you all to follow me now. Just kidding. Actually, there'll be a lot of deletes. People are going, no, ping, ping, ping. But,
no, not true.
But there's one lady over here, and she's a celebrity, and she's lovely. She's not nasty at all. But I kept seeing her, and every day she puts on what she's wearing. And by about the second week, I was like, I can't watch her anymore. It was, instead of thinking that, I was more thinking, oh, every morning you look perfect. Oh, and I thought, hang on a minute, that's not her fault. But if it's triggering you, don't follow her anymore. She is looking stunning. She has a team. Let's face it. Let's stop it. So stop looking at things that trigger. You are in control of social media. When you say you don't like it, you are in control of what you see. All right. Stop looking at it. Unfollow people. You don't have to follow everybody. Yeah. You can look at the things you want to. Scroll past. You don't have to stay looking. Nobody is going to force you. And that's the same. The opposite is true. If you're worried about doing a live or something, people do not have to stop and watch you. So don't worry that you're annoying them. It's got that little one in because I think that one raises its head. Surround yourself with people who believe in you. So get some business buddies. People that are running their own businesses are great. Other therapists doing the same as you because they get the story. For years, I tried to get my family to understand what I did. My mum and dad, I don't think really know what I do now. They certainly don't know I've got a book. Well, they may do, but I've never really mentioned it because it doesn't need to be. And my mum used to say, oh, how is the clinic? And is Eddie still, this is my husband, coming in to work with you on a Tuesday evening? Like Eddie somehow ran it. I was like, I only get him in because he's free on reception for 2 hours. So just make sure you don't try and you can't convince people to understand what you do. Go and find the ones that do. Don't get irritated by family members who say, what the hell are you doing? Run your own business. You can get all that chat from people. Keep those as your friends, but outside of business. Surround yourself with business people. And there's groups. I have a free group. There's groups around. I have a mailing list I send out. But there's all sorts of people like me, and also some of your peers that you probably could get together with. And your group, Erin, your group here, it's a big worldwide network, isn't it? You've got a group, haven't you? Yeah. Do you want to do a shout out? Is everybody in your group that's watching?
Probably not, but you know,
give a shout out.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, we've got information on there, all for free. Our website, and you know, email me. We're supportive. Do it.
Yeah, I think just contact Erin, because that is a global, and you're all doing the same type of therapy as well. So if you haven't joined, you are a fool. Okay, I'm going to say you're a fool. Join it, because because you get you introduced me as a radiator. I think you did, or that sort of thing. And people often say that about me, and that's what you'll give others. You have to go and give in a group as well as take in a group. But once you surround yourself with the right people, I have some great business friends. And when I was poorly, I had a business mentor that stepped in and did some teach sessions without me even asking. She said, I'm coming in. I had 2 or 3 business friends that came on a business retreat that I run and said, right, we'll run around in the background. You just do what you've got to do, because I was right in the middle of chemo. I don't know how I ran it, but I did. But I had those people there, and they understood and they stepped in for me. So build up that network. Next one, understand how. Now, this is probably the one you go, oh, yeah, this is the bitch going to teach us how to run a business. So let's whiz through this fairly quickly. So customer care, you must aim for excellent only. Good is not good enough, all right? Be excellent at all times. There is no time in your business to not offer customer care. Things like, you know, never reply in a heated moment. Always just say to the customer, I'm sorry you perceive it this way. Make sure you've got a complaints procedure. Even if you never get a complaint, have one. Yeah, it's important to have one, because it will set out the cycle of what happens. And the bigger you get, you will get somebody, even if it's not a rational complaint, that will say something that you need to address. We had somebody once, and it wasn't her fault or ours really. Somebody came in with kids and they ran up and down the corridor. They were having a quiet treatment. And we just said, we're so sorry, come in on a lunchtime and here's a free treatment. But we knew, because it was in our protocol, what would happen if somebody had had a disturbed treatment and it wasn't their fault. You know, you've just got to set it out there. Promote good word of mouth. The problem with not promoting good word is bad word of mouth will spread far faster than good. If you think back to the last time you maybe made a complaint or something, we see complaints all the time. We look for reviews and we're looking for the bad ones to see what the business is like. You get less good reviews than you do bad if you're doing bad stuff. So just go for that excellence, and just be, because once you get good word of mouth, it's great. You know, I used to have a filing cabinet full of Mrs. Brown, Mr. Brown, Auntie Brown, Uncle Brown, Son Brown. You know, that's how it would go. You get word of mouth. Network, obviously, Erin and I have met through networking, so we're a great example. And don't expect networking to work on the first time you go. You need to make connections. Otherwise, it's a little bit, and I think I write it later on in this webinar, is, you know, it's a bit like proposing on the first date. You rock in on a blind date, you say, hi, buy my stuff. It ain't going to work. So online and in person is great. Ask for testimonials. Regularly ask for people. If somebody says that was great, go, oh, would you mind? And if you've got a template for them to fill in, or a link to your Google reviews, it's so much easier. It's all about making the client's journey easy. Website, make sure it's up to date, make sure your links are working. If anybody looks at mine, I do know there's one link not working, so I feel, oops. But anyway, go to your website and make sure everything's working. Make synergy with other businesses. You never know. I tend to link with other people, not because I want to know what I'm going to get back, because I want to see if I can help, especially if you're a local business. Get to know all the local businesses. You'd be amazed what connections you get and how gradually that becomes another way of people coming in to see you. Be social. Create content for your potential clients on social media. Okay. Do not create content for your peers. Okay. You don't need to impress your peers, because they know what you do. Create it for your client that doesn't know anything, and keep it simple. Help them, educate them, support them, make them laugh, ask questions, try and make connections. Interactions really work well now on social media, on all the platforms. They're looking for you to be commenting, and not just saying good or putting a heart on it. Go in and make an actual comment. Be you. I started with this, not apologizing for being me. Be you. Nobody can be you. As long as you are ethical, kind, happy, professional, and giving excellent customer care, go and be you. All right. And I'm sure everybody watching this is like that. Go and be you. And lastly, show up persistently and consistently. Social media does not work Somebody the other day said to me, they were a photographer, and they said, my social media didn't work. I posted on there in 3 months, I posted on there and I got nothing. How many times did you post? A week? I said, and she looked really, she went, a week? And I said, yeah. She went, oh, well, over the 3 months, I think I put 4 pictures out. I'm like, okay, right, not even having a conversation. So you have to make it part of your business, not something that's like, we talk about it in my HB club, that it's not a nasty bit of your business. It's a good, because it's free marketing. And when I started, there was no such thing. There was putting an ad in the paper, or there was doing a mail drop. And neither of those particularly worked very well. Next, sell. I spoke about selling yesterday in the networking meeting, because I know everybody hates that word. And I did say yesterday, call it something else, call it an offer, call it an invitation. But to be a business owner, you have to sell. Don't be the best kept secret. I speak to so many people and they've got a great business and they go, but nobody buys. And I said, well, who do you tell? Nobody. And you're like, okay, that's the solution. And quite often, the great thing about maybe sometimes not doing stuff is you can promote your business pretty quickly once you start to put these things in place. So tell people about what you do. Don't be frightened about sharing what you do, where you go. Erin's already pointed out that in the background here, I have my HB box. She went, oh, good. I said, what, you mean be putting my stationery box in the background? Never. But when I do, I'm on a promotion for that next week, because there's another box going out in December. That sounds like I'm selling, but I'm really not. But I'm just offering, no. But I will be planting in my social media this week, and I'll be doing all my lives in here. Subliminally, that is in the background, all right? So people start to get to know what you're doing. But I'm not shoving it down the throat, going buy my stuff. I'm going to be showing the products as they arrive and getting people excited. Then when you say you've got something to sell, people are ready to go for it. If you're a therapy business, you know, I wouldn't always put on, I've got 3 spaces on Wednesday afternoon. I'd be more likely to tell them about your type of therapy, how it works, what results you've had, case studies, that sort of thing. That's what people want to know. They also want to have a nose around your clinic room. So if you've got a room that you treat in, do a little video, show them around. I did it once with a girl who owned a gym. I was working with her and I said, right, go round like Annika Rice. Anybody that knows, in the UK, we had a lady called Annika Rice. It was a program. She would run around doing challenges in like she'd get off a helicopter anyway. So do that. And this lady was old enough to remember. So she ran around the clinic, the gym, showing it all. And I'd always had quite a good following on my social media, but not that good. She sort of went viral on the video. I was a bit like, well, I gave you one idea and it went viral. It was brilliant. It was just fabulous. And she showed all the classes and she got a lot of clients from it. So never say never to doing those things. Sell, but don't propose on your first date. So like I said at networking, you know, tell people about what you do, share what you do, give them an insight to you and why you love what you do. And then when you sell, people aren't going, oh, I don't even know who you are. Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with selling, nothing wrong with it. The word really shouldn't be a bad word. It's when it's, as I say, it's like proposing on a first date. Think of it like that. You've got to date somebody for a while, get them to know who you are, and then you can propose all you like. You can call it proposing. I'm just going to propose today my products. Make the buyer's experience simple. This sometimes becomes a problem. So if you've got a booking system, make sure if somebody books online, it's really easy to book online. They can find your telephone number really easily. They don't have to search through your website and it's on the 5th page at the bottom. And actually it's quite clunky. Make sure, if you can, have a landing page that they go to when they want to buy whatever thing you are selling, whether it be a service, whether it be a product. Always think about the customer journey. Is there a thank you email after they sign up that just confirms they've booked a booking, maybe in the time it is, where they need to go? Have you got Google Maps on your website so they can find it? If you want reviews, make sure there's a link that people can use. Just make it simple. I am getting there, Erin, I'm getting there. This is my last principle. And if you don't like this slide, that is deliberate, all right? Stop being busy. I hate this slide. I like things in order. That is not in order. But you need to take effective action. Very often we're very busy in a business. I remember when I started, I was working till 10 at night. I thought I'd get up at 6. I was treating, blah, blah. I thought that was great. Actually, I wasn't being effective. And sometimes you need to stop and look at what needs to be done, whether it be paying your bills, rent, rates, whatever, and wages. Then the things that are going to make you money. Not the silvery balls that you've got yourself 8 of them and you're trying to juggle. You've got so many ideas, you don't actually focus on one. So you probably need some tips on how to do effective action. If I can get my mouse to work. Here we go. Oh, I'm lucky I've got a touchscreen computer. Let's try it that way. Got the shakes, right. So Stop being busy, but take effective action instead. Every time you do something, think, am I being effective? Is it going to help my business? Now, there's a law you may have heard of, Parkinson's law. And what it says is we stretch into the amount of time we are given. So you know the thing, I always give an analogy and I say, imagine you're sitting on your sofa and this would never happen to me because I'm quite ordered, but anyway, you're washing up in the sink and it's all dirty pans and you thought, oh, I can't do that now, I'm going to sit on the sofa. Then you get a phone call and it's your partner's, it's your like mother-in-law, okay? And she says, we're just around the corner, we'll be 10 minutes. I know that most people could get rid of those dishes in 10 minutes, whether you shove them in the oven, you throw them out, you quickly wash them up, dry them, you can tidy around, can't you, in that time? But you've probably had those pots and pans for the last couple of days and you couldn't be bothered to do it. Parkinson's law is where you stretch it into the time you're allowed. So what we tend to do, I say to people, is right, well, don't give yourself too much time to do things. So structure, this is an old, if anybody is an osteopath listening, structure is function is one of our principles osteopathically, but it works brilliantly for business too. If your business has some structure, it will function. And you may say, I hate being structured. But actually, if your diary is structured, if you know what days you're working on, what time you're having off, if you know what days maybe you go live, I'm always live Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m. I don't even have to think about that. That happens every week because I do it. I don't have to go, oh, when should I, that whole should I, shouldn't I, procrastination, which a lot of us can do. A little aside from that, never call yourself a procrastinator because you will be, all right? You can procrastinate and you can stop it, but don't call yourself a procrastinator. Don't ever label yourself. So structure is function. Structure your time off. Stop making excuses. Now, people don't normally, this is my kindly blunt way. Sometimes we all have reasons why we can't do things and we believe in our reasons. But actually quite often there are excuses. So you know that the person that you meet for coffee and it's the third time that they've given you a reason why they can't meet you, you know that it's an excuse, right? We don't really recognize when we're making excuses, but we recognize others pretty quickly. So just be aware. Now there's always reasons, but there's normally, if there's a reason, say your kids are ill, whatever, there's a way of working around it. And I would say if your kids are ill, you take the day off, you cancel what you're doing and you come back to another day. But you can always work around. And if you look at sort of life, the people that tend to do the most are the people that have the most adversity. So those that have maybe lost limbs, you find them, they're climbing a mountain that you and I would never want to do. So just think about it. You can have reasons, but there's always a workaround to do it. And it may be, as I said, take a few days off. If you can't be your best in business, don't go into work. Take time off, but don't make excuses and keep making excuses maybe why you can't show up on your social media. Work out what's stopping you, because quite often when you're making lots of excuses, it's a limiting belief. It's you worrying what somebody else is thinking you're an imposter, but you've just told somebody you haven't got time to do it. And that somebody quite often is me as a business mentor, and I go, okay, let's just work through that. A little bit of a detective. I've no idea where my mouse has got a bit sticky. Right, so I think this is my last bit of advice. So time tasks, I love time tasks. We do this every third week in my business group, and I run a 10-10 challenge, and that's all based around the number 10. So we pick 10 minutes, you turn off all distractions. Ideally, you've done your to-do list, and what you've done is you've selected the top 3 things that will help your business. They've either got to be done, like it's a bill to be paid, or they will help your business to grow. You turn off all distractions, and I mean all of them. Nobody is going to be put off for 10 minutes. If you've got kids, do it when they go to bed. Yeah. If you've got kids, get up early and do it 10 minutes early. You can do that. Turn off all the distractions. Nothing needs to be done apart from the job in hand. Pick the one job, set the timer for 10 minutes, and then sit. This is what I always say to my group, sit your butt down and get the work done. You will be amazed how much you can get done in 10 minutes. Now, if you've got something like a website to build, you're not going to get that done in 10 minutes. But what you do is you break it into chunks. First of all, you go and research other people's websites, 10 minutes. Then you do maybe looking at pictures, 10 minutes. But try it, because really that's probably one of my top tips today is just turn off the distractions and put the timer on. And I won't say her name, but I have one of those little boxes that you call their name and they set a timer. She's sitting over there looking. It's not a real person, in case you're wondering. Alexa. She lit up then. She's ready. But she will set timers for me. So she will do that. Right. So if you want to get hold of me, I do think I look a little bit like that now. I haven't got quite the right glasses on, but my socials are Helen Bullen UK. Really easy. I think LinkedIn is Helen Bullen. But as Erin introduced me, and as I say when I'm at networking, I said there's one L in Helen, there's two in Bullen, and all you have to do is put me in Google or Amazon. You will find me. One L in Helen, two in Bullen. If you want to find me on socials, add UK and you find me. I've got a new book coming out, and yes, that is me with my wound, my warrior wound out. I'm really proud of that picture. Agnes B, Cancer and Me, that's out in spring 2023. In case you're wondering, I called my boobs. One's Agnes and one was B. Agnes has now gone. But yeah, it's quite comical, whatever. And I go through some of the things that I did then, which are based on these principles. And I also have a podcast. Now, I have to admit, when I was poorly, I haven't recorded it. But there are about 54 episodes on the usual places. So Kindly Blunt podcast. And the last bit I've got Clever here. So that's my business box. It is there. There's one in December. You can find me, but that is a QR code. So if you're into tech, you should be able to put your camera on that and get all my links, because I run a membership. I run a mastermind, which I'm taking applications for now. I run that once a year. I take applications. I run retreats in the UK. I also am coming back to running my retreats in Thailand as well. That very beach I showed you a picture of. So yeah, that's me. And if you want to, my list, now I'm going to call it an email list, but I try not to write to you like a boring email. I might just say hi, or I might tell you what I'm doing, or I might tell you a joke. I told a joke the other day, terrible. But if you want to sign up to it, I call it my Happy Business Builders list. You are more than welcome. And that QR code and that Linktree link, as I said, just put Helen Bullen in Google and you will find me. Just message me, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Over and out, Erin.
Hey. Wow, thank you so much. I started taking notes and then I was like, do you know what? There's no point in me taking notes because everything that you say just makes sense. I can't comment on everything. I wanted to, but we would have been here for a couple of hours.
We would have done.
But most of it is in here. And it was really nice to actually hear you talk about it versus me reading about it. So now that everyone who's listening has heard Helen talk about it, I suggest you go and read it. Tab it all up, highlight it, go back to it and work through it. It's, as I said earlier, Helen doesn't beat around the bush. It's very easy to use, easy to follow, and it all just makes sense. Now, I'm just going to do a little woohoo.
Woohoo!
Helen thing. I've got my brain dump here. And, you know, it's been a few years, I suppose, since I realised that, I needed to take care of myself. So that was one of your key principles, self-care. However, it's taken me even longer from realizing it to actually put it into action. And once you do put it into action, it does make all the world of difference. And so I really would look at following Helen's principles there, that such simple things to do. And you talked about, taking some time out or maybe just doing some breathing. Just going to do a little shout out to Sandy Abrams, who's also going to be doing a talk about the power of breath. We've got some fantastic speakers as part of the symposium, so don't go away. Do check them all out. And really just do go out there and commit to it. Anything is possible. And when you believe it, you will see amazing things happen. And the other thing I'd just like to share with you is that we do also have the Halopreneur program, which is an even more supportive little network of Halopreneurs, people running halotherapy businesses. Now, in there, you'll get all the information to be the best that you can be running your salt therapy business, all the information, but also access to other people. And like what Helen said, build that network of supportive people doing what you're doing, and all of a sudden you'll rise up together. And it's always better doing it together, I think, anyway. So I think I'm going to leave it there, but thank you so much, Helen, for coming on and sharing your energy, sharing your information. And I really do hope that some of you will reach out and do a little bit of Helen stalking. Remember?
Yeah, and if you read the book, tell me what you like, write a review, but email me. I love getting emails. Never think, oh, I couldn't email. Yes, you can. It's fine. I'd love to hear from you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And I will see you at the next networking event anyway.
I'll see you there.
Okay. Thank you.